Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
So look, bro.
Hey,
It's we're recording this. This is February 1st when we're recording this. So we kicking this off. The only way that the Black Men Think podcast should kick this off. So I just got one question for you, bro.
okay.
When the last time you heard a Black History fact that you haven't heard of? Because I feel
Well,
like it's
first and
the same ones, like literally every year it's the same Black History facts.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely well. First and foremost, let me just say this, bro. Happy Black History Month to you.
Thank you, sir.
What I'm saying? Happy Black History Month to all of our listeners, Black women, Black men, Black children. You know, Black is beautiful, man.
Yes, sir.
It's
Absolutely.
listen, bro. Hey, bro. And if we don't celebrate ourselves, then who will, right?
Bingo.
And that's what we do here at the Black Man Think podcast. So, bro, you raise a very interesting point, and ironically, on the first day of Black History Month, I honestly didn't even like. It didn't really feel like Black History Month.
I feel you. Same here. Same here.
Like I'm riding around the city to and from work. Just going about life, doing things. I'm in the office. I'm in the programs and restaurants, and not really a lot of love happening right now. You know,
Right.
I mean, I feel like maybe I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. While like the pandemic was, obviously um, pretty heightened tensions and different things that we experienced as a Black community, as an American community. Period. I mean, there was just a lot of things that highlighted Black people, our struggle, social injustices. I mean, from the marches to honestly the murders. And just I mean, there were tons of reasons for us to for the voice to be loud, but let's just say it like it is. Society seems to have gone back to normal,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, normal in terms of Black History Month is kind of mum, bro. Like it ain't a lot going on, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Not okay.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Until we did pre-production, I really didn't think that it was Black History Month. Like I didn't think, and I got some
Mhm.
other things going on too that kind of had um, my brain was in other places. But until you mentioned it, I was just like, man, you're right. Like, bro, it's Black History Month for real. And so
Yeah.
I thought it was only fair because of that question that I asked that we kick this episode off with a Black History fact that most people probably don't know. Something new. It's not the
Okay.
same old. And which there's nothing wrong with those facts that we know and we hear all the time. But I think it's our job that we should present more, right?
Yeah.
Some things that that we may not know of. So on today, actually, February 1st, 1960, the Greensboro sit-in. So on this day, four young North Carolina A&T State University students, I'll say their names as well: Ezell Blair Jr., Franklin McCain, Joseph
Mhm.
McNeil, and David Richmond. They walked a few blocks from campus downtown to Woolworth's department store in Greensboro, North Carolina, for the changing of history. So this is what they did. They called them the Greensboro Four, by the way, right? So
Mhm.
one late afternoon, they sat on four bar stools at a segregated lunch counter and asked for coffee. When they were refused service, they remained in their seats until closing. They didn't get up, people. Like they just sat there. They were chilling.
Mhm. Mhm.
Next day, over 20 students returned with them, including some of the all-female students from the all-female Bennett College. The third day included over 60 people, followed by over 300 on the fourth day. That's what we call like strength in numbers, right? From four to
Mhm.
300 in 4 days. With the promotion of the sit-in in the media, the sit-in tactic spread to other cities in North Carolina and eventually throughout the Southeast. This Greensboro sit-in is credited as being the major and most influential sit-in of the civil rights era. So
Mhm.
that's something I didn't know, haven't heard of, and I just think it's important for us to start highlighting some different moments in Black history, right? So we know that it's
Yeah.
more than, and please do not misconstrue my words, but it is more than Dr. Martin Luther King. It's more than Malcolm X. It's more than Shirley
Yeah.
Chisholm. You know what I mean? Like these are the ones that they tell us about that we learn off the top of our head that we can roll off, but I've never heard of the Greensboro Four. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
it's our job to present some different pieces.
Yeah. It's honestly crazy, bro. Like to even really swallow the fact that, bro, sit-ins were not too long ago. Like that wasn't too far removed from reality of today.
62 years
Like
ago.
that's crazy, bro. I mean, to say the least, I mean, there has been a lot of progress, but at the same time, I mean, we obviously know there's so much further that we can go. I don't, bro. Have you ever been to the National Civil Rights Museum in Atlanta?
No, I haven't been. I haven't been. I've seen it. It's a
Listen, man.
beautiful building, but I haven't been. No.
Listen, bro. They have an experience, and for all of our listeners out there, man, if you're ever visiting Atlanta, if you live here, and if you have not made it to that museum, it is a national museum. It's worth the visit. They have an experience there where you go into an exhibit
Right.
and they're talking about the civil rights movement, and just the different, people that played. They're really painting the reality of how harsh it was for our people, right? For Black people during that time. And then they have these booths that you go sit down at and
Okay.
you put these headphones on. It's very interactive. You put your hands like up on the counter and you almost take the position of what some of our forefathers in this fight and foremothers, honestly, sat down at these booths and, very loud and clear, bro. You hear the hate, you
Mm.
can feel the cursing and the degradation, those type of words that are coming at you, even to the point where like the chair is trembling where somebody's like slamming on the counter in front.
Oh, wow.
Man, listen, bro, like honestly, it'll give you chills, man. It'll give you chills because it kind of puts you into that, that experience,
Right.
a small glimpse of that experience, man, that you know, some of our ancestors went through just for the sake of our freedoms today, man. And not too long ago, like you said, 60 something years ago, bro, that could have been, my grandfather, could have been, honestly, I mean, even our parents, they could have been younger. They could have been younger children at the time.
Yeah.
There's probably some listeners out there who have heard those stories from, their parents or their grandparents
Yeah.
about some of those realities, man. So
What's
yeah, y'all
crazy,
check that
right?
out.
What's crazy is that we live in a world where we're not far removed. And for us, we live in Atlanta, man, and Atlanta is a black city, bro. We see black wealth here. We see
Hmm.
black people prospering, to be honest with you, right? So it's not like, but the reality is 30 minutes outside the city in any direction, and you really can like end up in like one of these small towns that didn't progress, right? And
Correct.
that's the real reality of where we live. Like I mean, Georgia is a state that if you take away Atlanta, you take away Savannah, Columbus, Augusta, Macon,
Macon. Yep.
that's it. It's country outside of that, bro. And that's no disrespect to other. I mean, and of course, like you got like Warner Robins, which is
Yeah.
just outside, right outside of Macon. But if you really take away those metropolitan areas, you know what I'm saying, in Georgia, bro, like it's legit country, red clay, dirt roads, farming, people who you know may feel the way that people felt 60 years ago. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And when you were saying that example of that experience that you get at the Civil Rights Museum, I was just thinking about like, in our lifetime, we may have been in situations where we heard one or two people throw a word around or made us feel or tried to make us feel less than, right?
Yeah.
But I have never been in a situation where the majority was trying to make me feel that way.
Mm,
Like I've never
mm.
experienced that in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Like I've definitely
Yeah.
been in a situation where one person may have got slicked at the mouth, or you know, two people, the person that they're with, but I've never walked in a room and everybody threw up silver
No.
words
Wow.
at me. You know what I'm saying? But that experience kind of just put in my head like I couldn't imagine living in a world where everyone felt that way. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
wild to think about.
It's so crazy that you say that. I sat here and I was just like, to some degree, I feel like I have been in that experience.
Mm,
It just hasn't looked the same. Like it hasn't looked like Jim Crow law, 60s, America. It looked more like walking into, political areas where white skin gives you access, gives you power automatically, where there that skin gives you voice and power, and black skin is completely the minority and already seen as it doesn't belong there and is
mm.
almost treated as if it doesn't belong there. Like I've been in those settings, man, whether in business meetings, board meetings, um, walking into certain places as a professional, or even to some degree, and during my previous, career, even as a performer,
Mm.
and even being the honoree in the room in certain instances, bro, I felt like I didn't belong there.
Right, right. Okay.
You know,
I got you.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel like we get glimpses of it, even though it's different. It doesn't come with as harsh of a reality and a backlash towards us. I mean, I don't think anybody's raising their hand to, slap us across the face or sick their dogs on us or get their water hoses and spray us down outside. Nothing like that. They're not throwing us into the back of paddy wagons and arresting us just because we had to take that step. But bro, we got plenty of uncomfortable environments that still don't allow us in. So
You know,
I think to some degree we can relate.
so when you say that, it made me rethink some things, right? So you're right, because it's not direct and in your face, but it's systems that are put in place.
Correct.
That's what it is. It's the systems put in.
100%.
That's exactly what it is, bro. Because you think about it, I'm just looking at, man, just information alone, information. And granted, we live in a time now where you can go online and pretty much find anything, right? But the truth in that is, even when you go to find something, getting to the point of trying to find it is the where the system is blocking that, right? Like, so,
Hmm.
say for example, we're going through trying to get a home, right?
Hmm.
There's so much information that's there about buying a home that if you don't literally Google everything, you're gonna be stuck. Versus, you find out very quickly that redlining exists. You find out very
Hmm.
quickly that your neighborhood may not qualify for something because of the neighborhood that it's in, but a different neighborhood may qualify for something. And it's just like when you start looking at those different intricacies, and you realize that, oh, it's really a system in place out here, bro. Like, things are really set up
Yeah.
for some people to succeed. I'll say this, because I won't go, even though I do think that sometimes there are things that are set up, systems that are set up to keep people from being more successful. But I think that, furthermore, there are systems put in place to help people succeed faster. So I'm
Mm,
I'm
okay.
I'm at
Yeah.
that mindset of everyone can succeed. Right now, I'm
Hmm.
not gonna sit here and act like that we don't have things that are against us to help us. But I think that we're in a world now where, you know what, this stock is available for. I'm using stock as an, but this stock is available for everybody to buy. But
Sure.
the difference is they knew about this stock 3 years ago when it was private. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like we found out when it went public, the IPO went, and like now we're in on seed funding. But you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like, yeah, we both can succeed on that level with it, right? But
Yeah.
I'm succeeding first, and then you
Yeah.
can succeed after I've already got there. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
I truly feel that those systems are in place like that for a reason, and hopefully we're trying to do the best that we can here on Black Man Think to kind of break those barriers down and like get in the game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, man, and I think it starts with education and celebrating ourselves, which is why we. I mean, shoot, let's dive in. Let me find another. I got another fact for you right here, bro. And what's so interesting, like I love the fact of how our people have spanned across all spectrums of life,
Mhm.
like in terms of our greatness, and we deserve to be celebrated, man. Like we have made impact in this country, in this world, in more ways than have been told to us, through our history books in more ways that they're teaching our kids now. So we're going to use this time and we're just going to highlight some things. I'm
Right.
going to bring up a very familiar name, but actually share a little known fact about it,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So Madam C.J. Walker, like it's a very familiar Black history name. We learned that even as kids, right? So she created a line of hair care products for African American women, and leading this led her to later become the first female African American self-made millionaire,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's now a Netflix series that you can check out. It's called Self Made, bro. And like when I read this, it just brought to mind how much influence we both had in science and inventions, but
Three.
also how much wealth we've actually had in our communities over the years.
Yeah.
You know, and and we don't often get those pictures. Like we don't, when you think about, or I put it like this: when the picture is painted for us as young boys and young girls of how to be great as a Black person, what I bet I can ask you and you can tell me, what categories do you usually see?
Uh, Sports and entertainment. Well, yeah,
Has sports and
entertainment.
entertainment,
Yeah, entertainment.
entertainment,
Yeah, entertainment.
right?
It,
Media,
we can go deeper if you want to go there. Like I'm with. So okay, cool.
yeah.
So think about it, right? Because you said it. How on average, not even on average, because I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I want to be more responsible.
Mhm,
But just like you said, typically when you make that statement, the quickest way to wealth, and if you ask a Black person, is is sports, entertainment, um, and unfortunately, sometimes there's like drugs or things like that, right?
mhm, mhm.
But if we stick on, let's legitimately, the quickest way for a Black man to make money on paper will, that we think of successful people that we look up to, is sports and entertainment, right?
Yeah.
And so when you really break that down, what are we doing? Think about it. If you're into sports,
Mm,
you're entertaining, right?
mhm.
You're putting your physical talents on display, right? For an audience of primarily who? White people.
Wow. White people,
Who signs your checks?
they do.
White people.
Yeah.
I'm just keep it a buck like this, and this is, I'm not even trying. I'm laying out the facts. If you are
Yeah.
in sports, no matter how great you are of an athlete, the
Yeah,
person
man.
that's signing your checks 97 to 99% of the time is an old white guy. It
Yeah.
is what it is, right? And so you are entertaining majority of white people and getting paid by a white person. And if we go back and look at any type of history book that's being honest, it was going on back then, right? That was
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, bro. Like, yeah, y'all can get
Yeah,
rich,
man.
entertain us. You'll get rich by entertaining us.
While we get richer and richer,
Get richer.
bro. It just it
It's
yet
wild.
again, bro.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
just wild, man. You go back to systems that are sometimes visible and yet invisible at the same time, right? Like things that we don't even have the bandwidth
Mm-hmm.
to like dissect and think through, or even if we did, even if we took the time to do so, we're so far behind where it feels like such a journey to catch up,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time you catch up, there's another system that's been created in front of that. And I mean, I have to applaud the efforts of those who fight for it anyway. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
one thing I thought about even just talking about this, man, is just voting rights, right? Like let's keep it funky. Like this is a big year for Georgia. This is a big year for. I mean, this is a big year period in politics, but for Georgia specifically, we're on the precipice of entering another battleground voting race for our governor, and
Mm-hmm.
then also for the Senate seat again, amongst other things, local governments and so on and so forth. But, namely Stacey Abrams, you know, coming back again to go to bat with Brian Kemp, who stole the election. Let's just say it like it is. He stole the first election between those two. And then Senator Warnock, up for reelection. Two critical positions in this state that have a huge impact on what we become in the future.
Right.
Georgia is still a brand new blue state, even though we still have very red government within, in terms of within Georgia, within local governments.
All those places that we named earlier are blue. Everything else.
Correct. Everything else is red, and I mean, just to watch recent, voting rights legislation passed, or even just to look across the country and to see how, red is positioning itself
right.
to either make voting very hard for people of color and underserved populations, or repositioning new people in place where they feel like their old colleagues didn't do the job to keep us out of office to begin with. And so the fight is so intentional,
Yeah.
From the side that seeks to keep us oppressed and keep us, silenced and suppressed. And I'm thankful to see like new leaders in our communities that are taking the time to dissect these things, but also put the information out to our community so that we're not at the same disadvantage that we used to be, bro.
Right.
And there's so much to learn, but I just encourage anyone out there who's listening and you feel what I'm saying right now, do what you can, like learn what you can, fight where you can, get involved in your local government, like go to your HOA meetings first and foremost, like in your community, make sure that you have a voice in your community. Go to, like, if you're in urban cities, go to the neighborhood planning units or the NPU meetings, which are really district type meetings where you find out what's happening in your district, what businesses are moving in. You literally have votes and say-sos in these meetings. You can, combat things that don't match what you feel like your community is supposed to do. Point is, go be a Black voice in those meetings. Go to your board of education meetings, whether you have children or whether you don't. Like, go be a voice for the children in your community. The school boards, I mean, do everything you can to represent. And it takes time and it takes sacrifice, but listen, there were people that were willing to sit at those sit-ins for us, knowing that they might not get to see the fruits and the benefits of what sacrifices that they were given, but we are. So honestly, we have to do the same thing for the next generation, man. If anything, this month, man, just take that education to the next level.
Man, you say that, and all of that. I'm glad you said it because all of that is real. That's reality, and I think that as soon as we can come to grips with that reality, I think we can improve on that. Right? Like there are certain things
Mhm.
that we not even saying that we're blind to, but we may look the other way just because we're in it and we're trying to get to it. We're trying to get to another level. It's kind of like that whole thing of that saying of breaking generational curses, bro. Like we have so much
Mhm.
stuff that we're going through and we're trying to break those generational curses and we wonder why everything is so hard because we're the ones that are trying to do a lot of this stuff for the first go round in our family. Like it
Yeah,
just is what it is. And so, when I think about like we read that at the top of the episode 1960, my mom was born in 1960, right? And but I'm looking
yeah,
at in her lifetime, she's seeing so much stuff that I didn't get a chance to see. And now
yeah,
look at the things that we're dealing with that we'll have to see and imagine what our kids are going to see, right? And while
right.
there's been improvements along the lines, I think for us it's just a matter of trying to figure out the plan, not even the plan of attack, but what's next, right? So
Mhm.
I want to turn that back around and ask you, like, what do you feel is next for us? What do we have to do as a black community to have a real progression, b to see that there's real change,
Mhm.
and what will that look like once we get to that point?
Wow, that's such a powerful question. Two things came to mind immediately.
Okay.
The first was money and wealth management.
Mm,
The reason I say that is because, as like, if you really look at the Black wealth gap, and let me just explain that term as best as I can. I'm not a expert on this, but from what I understand, the wealth of the black family pales in comparison to the wealth of an average white family. And I'm not just talking about like the rich white family. I'm talking about like workers, like blue collar, the
Right.
normal average white family. And I have to pull up stats after I say this, JD,
Mhm.
just so I can really share how different of a picture it is. It's astounding, right? And
Yeah.
we've talked about this in previous episodes, but I don't have the numbers in front of me. But we literally are like fractions
Hmm.
in comparison in terms of our family wealth, like what your actual family is worth. And yes, we have rich, wealthy black people in America. Yes, we have well-off people who have overcome, who are CEOs and on boards of nonprofits and are executives, celebrities and or sports and entertainment, figures that are million to billionaires. Yes, we have that. But if you look at your average black family, it's completely different. So if anything, I would say we need to learn the language and the management of the number one thing that makes that a reality, and that's money. And I'm not just talking about learning how to attain it. I'm talking about learning how to manage it and manage it wisely.
Yeah.
So that's my first thing I would say. And with that, I think it's linked into it, bro. We got to support black business. Like we got to support our own. Um, 9 times out of 10, you can probably find a black owner of the typical things that you love, right? And
Say that
whether
again.
that's product,
Say that again.
whether that's
For
like seriously, you can probably find a black owner of something that you love to do or love to have, love to own, right? Meaning that they own the company or they own the distribution or whatever. Um, we need to do the research as a community, bro, and start supporting our own and take that money out of what you just mentioned, black white owners, take that money out of white owners' pockets and put it into black owners' pockets, so that money continues to recycle through our communities, and we build our own, bro. It's been done before, and yes, it's been stolen from us. We hear the stories of some of the famous black cities that were Black Wall Street, Rosewood. I mean, you hear these places that were burned down and torn down, and our people things stolen from us. But bro, more than ever, I think we have more opportunity to attain something, man, and to like make a change. And you see people trying to do so, and I just think, but as a whole, it's going to take us all to kind of change that mindset and support our own, man.
no,
I'm gonna
that's
pull
real.
these stats up while you're talking.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's real, bro. Because I think that's what I agree with. I agree with a lot of that. I think that's what it's gonna take. One word that kept coming to mind is just community, right? I think
Mhm.
that even though we're having these conversations, bro, and what I want y'all to realize also is like this is our life, right? Like we're not just coming on here just to talk. We literally bring conversations from our group chat to the podcast.
Mhm.
Like, so this is things that we're talking about, and we talk about all kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, but we're bringing these conversations here because these are things that we talk about on a regular basis, and B we don't have the answers to all the time, right? So, but
Right,
I like the word community because the importance of community, it shows that it's accountability, right? Because we have people that we can rely on to tell us a we either in the wrong or b we're doing something right. And I think you need those type of people around you, have that type of community around you, because it doesn't stop at you, right? I think a lot of times
right,
for us, we get gung ho and we go and try to do it on our own. And there's nothing wrong with being self sufficient and doing these things on your own. But you hit a wall when you're working by yourself. It's just gonna
yeah,
happen. And no matter if it's in trying to uplift black people, it's in business, it's in life. When you try to do things by yourself, eventually you're gonna hit a wall. And what a community does, and I want to preface this by saying a good community, a responsible community. When you have a responsible community around you, you have people around you that can keep you accountable. So when you're slacking, they tell you like, "Bro, I know you got goals, right? Yeah, you tripping. You're not gonna hit these goals if you out here doing what you're doing." So
right,
have those type of people in your life, it's easier to have that foundation of where you, when you slipping and you taking a day or two or a week off, you got people that say like, yo, like you ain't been doing what you normally doing. Like, what are you doing? And I think that helps us to get to another place because it takes the onus off of me, right? When I'm slacking, Mo can tell me like, "Yo, you slacking," and then at
Right.
the same time, I can turn around and tell Mo like, "No, dog, you slacking too." And now what that does, that's community building, and that's uplifting both of us to the point to where now we have a different mindset where we can have a different level of attack. So, for me, it's all about community, bro. And I think once we do that, that's where we really start to see some growth and where we can celebrate our wins a little bit more.
100%, bro. Bro, if you don't mind, bro, I just pulled up some statistics. I know we rapping soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
just want to share this with the people, man. It's the first day of Black History Month, 2022, and this statistic right here alone is mind blowing. African Americans hold only 2.6% of the nation's wealth,
Mm,
although making up 13% of the population.
mm, hmm,
So, first, let's start there, right? The US is home to approximately 2.5 million Black owned businesses. And if companies invested at least 1% of their profits in underserved communities, amounting to more than 20 billion in cash, the racial wealth gap could close within a decade.
hmm.
There you have it right there. I'll say it again. The US is home to approximately 2.5 million Black owned businesses. And if companies invested at least 1% of their profits in underserved communities, meaning communities of color, 9 times out of 10, which would amount to more than $20 billion in cash, that racial wealth gap could close within a decade.
Hmm.
So there's a pathway that we could actually move towards,
Right, right.
but it starts with us supporting and investing in our own. And let me not just say it starts with us, because this point actually opened up an entirely different point. It starts with us um, holding white ran companies and businesses and industries to holding their hands to the fire so that they support ours,
Mm.
so that they support our own. And we saw a lot of that, I think, in the last year, man, where, a lot of employees were really going at the tables. They were challenging companies about their diversity and leadership. They were challenging companies about some of their decision makers.
Right.
They were challenging the disparities of how Black people are paid versus how, white people's salaries, though the credentials are the same. We can't let up.
Mm.
We got to keep going to the table. We got to keep fighting this fight, man, because it's attainable. It's not going to happen overnight, but we've got to take those steps, to kind of make a difference.
Yeah, no, that's real, bro. That's real. Man, that's wow. I
It's
want to
alarming,
yeah, it's alarming. I kind of want to leave that there just to have our audience
for
to
sure.
think on that and ponder on that. And really, man, like we can continue this conversation offline. Like, feel free to send us a comment. If you are with our Patreon community, you can chat with us, and we have those resources and tools out there. We can have like one-on-one conversations and kind of dig deeper. But definitely, I think it's important for us to not only continue this conversation in your community, right? Like in
Mhm.
your friend group, and just think about how we can change. I will say this because we've all fallen victim to it. We've all done it, whether we want to admit it or not. That black business, give them a second chance.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I say that, bro, because I found myself doing it too. Like I've done it plenty of times. Bro, I can go into an establishment and we'll say, like, I can go to a Walmart, even though I don't like going to Walmart, but I'll say a place that I'll go to. I can go to a Publix, right? Things might not be up to par how I want them. I'll still go back to Publix.
mm, mm. I hear you, bro. Speak that.
I'll go to Amazon. Out perfect example. I bought this microphone off of Amazon, and um, it was supposed to come overnight. It didn't come, and in 2 or 3 days they said, "Oh, sorry for that. Package didn't come. We'll refund your money." And then I
Mm.
refunded. And I ordered another one immediately. Didn't even hesitate. Right? I know for a fact if that was a black company, I would have been pissed to the point where I was like, man, I'm not giving them another chance. Like, cause that's just We don't know that we're doing it sometimes.
Yeah.
My I purchased an item on Amazon. It didn't come when it said it was supposed to come. They gave me a refund. I could have took my money and went somewhere else. I ordered it again on Amazon. You see what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah.
We have to have that same mentality with black businesses. Second and third chances. Or better yet, when they do something wrong,
Mm.
let them know that they're doing something wrong so they can improve on it. Sometimes we we'll go to Chick-fil-A, the order's messed up, we'll fill out the survey immediately and tell them what they did wrong. Don't even think
Hmm.
about it.
Hmm.
You go to a black restaurant, if they mess up, you might not see them again for 6 months. When you just
Mm.
happen to think about going. So we have to get in the mindset of like, hey, give them a second chance, or better yet, let them know that what they did was wrong or what happened so they can improve. If you're not letting the company know that they're doing something wrong, how do they know? You're just walking out and
Mm.
never returning. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, give that black business a second chance, bro.
That's bars, man. Great work.
Yeah, that's it. Um, I'll see if we had a question. I forgot to pull them up. Let me see if I can find one real quick for Ask a Black Man.
Man, I think we're gonna have a good Black History Month, bro. Like we
I
we
think so.
we just we just started off right here, you know. I mean,
We did.
and we got more to come. A lot more to talk about.
Man, this is a weird question. Hold on. Let me see something else. I mean, this is cool. It's super random, but uh, what is one weird thing about you?
Weird thing. How? Mm, oh, this might sound crazy to some.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go ahead and preface the reason before I even say it. I'm an only child.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to myself from time to time. I do.
You answer back.
I didn't necessarily even ask the question. I'm just having a conversation. You know, I like to think I think out loud.
I got you.
And no, you know, I'm not crazy. I don't, you know, walk around doing this all day. I'm just saying there are moments where I'm verbal. It might not be nobody around.
Mm,
I just call it an only child thing.
I got you.
Y'all wouldn't understand if you weren't an only child. I'm just saying. That's
Um,
my excuse.
Ironically, I'll piggyback off of that. I also have I have two things, but I'll piggyback off of that because I do something where if you ask me a question, I answer you in my head. I do that often,
Like literally, like you
and I'll go on about whatever I'm doing. Like,
do you not know that you're saying it in your head instead of verbally
bruh, it's been times,
or audibly?
especially with my wife. My wife may ask me a question, and if I'm like in the middle of doing something, in my brain I answered her question, but I'm not,
Are you serious?
bro, like dead serious. And I mean, it's definitely it's something I have to work on because
Yeah.
it'll come across that I'm ignoring you. It's like, no, like I answered your question. I just answered it internally.
What?
Yeah, bro. Like I
Bro.
realized that I probably realized it like maybe I mean I've been doing it like my whole life, but I realized
Yeah.
it. I noticed it probably about like 2 years ago, where it's like I will legit answer you in my head, like straight
Yeah.
up. You could ask me something like, "Yo, can you? I would use my. Can you take out the trash? Yeah, I got you, babe. In my head, but I'm working. And what's
She
crazy?
looking like,
What's crazy though? What's really crazy is I'll do what was asked.
yeah.
So I mean, I have this thing where, bro, like, I know I'm working on it. I'll say I'm working on it, but I am a defiant individual where, like, bro, I do not like to be told what to do. I'm not
Mm.
that guy. Like, you can't just like on some, and I'm saying like I can be told what I'm not unteachable.
Yeah.
That I'm on some like, bro, if you come at me and tell like, yo, you need to do this, I ain't doing it. Like just on the strength, like no. Like if you tell like tone is a lot for me. Like if you came and was
Yeah.
like bro, like and also maybe it may depend on who it's coming from, but it's on some like if you on some like yeah, now you need to do this now. Never.
Yeah.
like
Never.
ever, bro. Like, and I'm saying I know that could be
Oh,
problematic. You know what I'm saying? But I'm
yeah.
defiant like that for real, for real. Like you can't, nah, bro. I don't work like that.
Yeah.
I feel like he tried me like on something. Like,
Hey
nah,
man, pick them shoes. Like pick them shoes up right now. Be
yeah,
like,
nah, fam.
nah,
It's
you weren't
so
talking to me,
crazy
dog.
though because I see it in my daughter. Like Jade,
That's crazy.
I see it. Like you can't tell Jade to do something in a way that she feels disrespected. She was like, nah, I ain't. I was like, yo, that's my child, bro. Like that is
But
crazy.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, between those two things. My other weird thing is not so weird. It's just it's I'll save it for Patreon. You got to go to
Okay.
Patreon to hear
Bet.
my other weird
Bet,
thing.
bet.
Yeah. It's kind of personal. It's not like crazy, but you got to go to Patreon to hear that. So if you want to hear my other weird thing, definitely subscribe to our Patreon. We have a couple of tiers there. Any support is greatly appreciated, but we appreciate y'all for rocking with us for real. Even if you haven't joined our Patreon family again, um, we ain't tripping, but I ain't gonna lie to you. It'll be great if you did go over there because it kind of helps us to
Yeah.
keep like this equipment. We have to like get these things going. So make sure y'all subscribe there if y'all want the bonus content. And we're doing some unique things over there too. So if you want to, go ahead. If not, we'll see y'all next week either way. So I forgot we used to do a sign off here, bro. I really forgot what our sign off was, but
We'll go back and listen, and we'll have it ready for
yeah,
you guys next time.
yeah, we'll figure it out. But we'll see y'all next week.
The Black Men Think Podcast.